Today we are going to go through a simple example of how to prepare and file the personal income tax return T1 online. So T1, or income tax return for individuals, or personal income tax return, will usually be for the calendar year that starts on January 1st and ends on December 31st. In our example, we are preparing the tax year of 2025. Each T1 will be different from the other according to many factors. For example, the student will be different than the senior, the marital status for a single, married, separated, divorced, a person who has children or do not have children. Many scenarios of sources of income. For example, a person can earn income from an employment as the salary, or self-employment as owning a business, or a subcontractor, or a professional, for example. A shareholder in an incorporated business, while the incorporated business itself will file T2, but the shareholder can receive salary, commission, dividends, management fees from the incorporated business. In this case, these sources of income will be entered under the shareholder T1. Also, any individual can earn money from investment or passive income, for example, interest income, dividend income, rental income, or royalty income. These sources of income will be entered under the T1 of the individual. If the individual receives what resembles an income, which I mean like periodically money from other sources, for example, from the government, insurance company, or from an ex-spouse, for example, these sources of income will be included in the T1 as well. If this individual or person contributes or make payments, the person will receive deduction. Capital gains or losses can occur if, for example, if the person has a business equipment that's used in a self-employment service or a business, then this equipment or vehicle, if it was sold and have gains or losses, it will be included as well in the T1 of the individual. It is always a good idea to collect and prepare information before we start. In our example, we are going to collect information from the CRA My Account. For example, the last year's notice of assessment, the carryover amounts, and the list of all slips. Other information, we will have to do some calculations to prepare. So, for example, the rent paid, the support received, the medical expenses. And now we can collect information about the CRA My Account. So first, log into My Account, then go to Tax Returns. From the Tax Return tab, you will find the year that we are supposed to file, not received yet. Also, we can find information about the access code, which should be available for you over here. Otherwise, you can go to the last year's notice of assessment, and you will find the same access code available over here. From the tax return page, you can scroll down until you find the carryover amounts. If you view the carryover amounts, you will find information about the capital gains deductions, federal tuition, education, and textbook amounts, provincial tuition, education, and textbook amounts, and also information about the non-capital losses. Also, from the Tax Return tab, on the right-hand side, press on the Tax Information Slips, T4, and more. From the Tax Information Slips, we can choose the tax year that we are preparing and information about all slips. We can also open a PDF in order to print or save it. Now you will have a list of all of the slips that, for example, can include T4, T4A, T5, TFSA, T2202 tuition and enrollment certificate. So when you have the list of all of the slips, you can now review them and match them to the copies that you had received either by mail or emails, and complete them if there were any missing slips. Now we are going to prepare and calculate some information about the medical expenses. In our example, the individual paid the annual premium for a private health insurance. At the same time, paid out-of-pocket money to cover the portion that was not covered by the health insurance. So we have to log into the health insurance website, go to payments, and from the payments, we will find the statement of annual premium. Look for the year of taxation, find the information that you are looking for over here, and keep it for your records. And now we are going to prepare the out-of-pocket medical expenses by going to the health insurance website, home page, then claim history. Now we are going to filter each report for the coverage type, starting with the extended health care, prescription drugs, hospitalization, vision and dental. You can choose the plan member if there were more than one member. Filter the date from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. Create the report and export it to an Excel sheet. I usually prefer to combine them in one Excel sheet, one tab for each coverage. Calculate the totals and prepare them on the first page. In our example, we prepared the prescription drugs and dental. At the same time, we prepared the annual premium to keep the information available to us while filing the taxes. And now we can prepare the support that was received from January 1st to December 31st. So, for example, if the support was a certain amount that was directly deposited in a certain bank account each and every month, then in this scenario, the best way to collect the information is by logging into your bank account, choose filter, deposits from January 1st to December 31st, and enter the support amount as minimum and maximum, and then apply to find the information. But in other cases, if the amounts were not regularly paid or different amounts, then the best way is to look into the description that you will find in your bank account and search for it. So for example, you can enter payroll and search, then you will find the information. Try to make sure that you are taking the information from January 1st to December 31st only. It's a very good idea to double check your information if you can compare it to, for example, a check copy, check log, family responsibility statements. Make sure that your information is accurate, and then prepare it in an Excel sheet, because the tax software will always ask you for the total amount of child support separate from the total amount of the spousal support, and also the sum of both support together. So the way that the tax preparation software will ask you to enter the information will ask you to enter the portion that it is non-taxable and the sum of both supports together, in order for the software to calculate the portion of the spousal support only. And now we can prepare the rent payment amount from January 1st to December 31st. Usually the rent will be due on the 1st of each month for a constant amount. If the method of payment was through a bank account, we can log into the bank account, choose filter, withdrawals from January 1st to December 31st. We can enter the rent as minimum and maximum amount and then apply. This will give you the information. Otherwise, we can look into the description and search for it. Make sure that we are looking into January 1st to December 31st period. The tax preparation software will ask you about the full address and the name of the landlord, which is a very good idea to prepare them ahead of time, and also the total amount of the rent paid through the year. If, for example, a person moved from one rented place to the other by the end of April, in this case, we will prepare the total amount for 2 portions of the year, together with the full information of the address and the landlord information. If the new place required to deposit the first and last payment, so the last payment as well, if it was paid in cash on May 1st, then it will be included in the total amount of the payment of the rent through the year. And now we can start filing the return. First, we can search for the CRA tax software for filing personal taxes. In our example, we have EFILE number and password available and ready. So we are going to press here to select filing as a professional tax preparer. When we select the EFILE certified software, you will be presented by a list of certified software where you can choose the software that you prefer. In our example, we are going to press here and choose UFile PRO. This will direct you to the sign-in for the UFile PRO page, and you can press over here to purchase the software. After you select Purchase Now, you will be directed to the UFile PRO shop. In our example, we are going to select 25 tax returns only, but you can choose between 25, 40, 60, or 100. Now you add to cart and process the payment. After you complete the payment, you will have a transaction page opened where you can find the activation key, and you can print it or save it for your records. Then you will have the download instructions. If you press here, you will find download and install instructions, a hyperlink. You can choose it to download the file. After the file downloads, it will open, or you can choose it from the downloads. And when you choose the file, you can follow the installation wizard instructions and accept the changes. After you complete the installation process, the program will open the tax year that we are going to work on. In our example, we are going to select carry forward a 2024 tax file because we used the same software last year and it was saved on our computer. Otherwise, you can choose to start a new file or open an existing one. From the Carry Forward a 2024 tax file window, they will ask you, did you use UFile for your 2024 tax return? If so, you do not need to re-enter your personal information and tax carry forward amounts. Just select the name of your 2024 file and UFile will import the data and create a new 2025 UFile tax file. Your existing 2024 file will not be altered. You will be prompted for the name of the new file. Now we can press on Browse and select the file that we want to open. Now the file will appear here because it was selected, and then we can press on Continue. Your 2024 tax file has been carried forward to 2025. Please follow the interview, enter your 2025 tax data, and review the data that was automatically carried forward. Look out for a change of address or a carry forward amount which differs from that shown on your tax assessment for 2025. Then we can press on OK. And now we can start by the interview. Family head identification. Please complete all items on this page. The information is used on your income tax return and to customize your interview. The taxpayer entered here is the family head. You can add other family members after completing the first 3 pages of the family head's interview. We will start by the identification, designation, for example, Mr., Mrs., Dr., etc. First name, last name, change of name for the taxpayer, social insurance number, date of birth. Then we are going to complete the situation on December 31st of 2025. Click the Get Help link of each of the next 2 lines in case of specific situation, for example, immigrants or deceased person. Province of residence on December 31st, 2025. Marital status on December 31st, 2025. Did your marital status change in 2025, including separated for less than 90 days? Gender, which is mandatory for Quebec residents. And then press on Next. And now we are going to enter the information for the mailing address and residence information. Enter your mailing address. Mailing address, we will enter the apartment number, the street number, street name, example 123 Maple Road, post office box number, ruler route, city, province or territory, Canadian postal code, care of if applicable. And now we are entering the information about your residence. If your province or territory of residence changed in 2025, enter the date of your move. In our example, we left a blank. Is your home address the same as your mailing address? In our example, yes. Current province of residence, if different from the mailing address, they are the same, so we left it blank. Telephone number, at home, at work, and cell phone number. Then press on Next. And now we are going to fill out the Canada Revenue Agency CRA questions. Please complete all items in this section. These questions must be answered for your federal income tax return. Information about you. Language of correspondence and of tax return, in our example English. Are you filing an income tax return with the CRA for the very first time? In our example, no. Did you own foreign property in 2025 with the total cost over 100,000 Canadian dollars? In our example, no. Did you sell principal residence in 2025? The sale of principal residence must now be reported along with any principal residence designation. In our example, no. Are you an officer or a servant of another country, such as a diplomat or a family member or an employee of such a person who were exempt from tax at any time in the taxation year? In our example, no. Answering yes to this question, you will not be eligible to the following credit: Canada Worker Benefit, Schedule 6. Election Canada. Do you have Canadian citizenship? In our example, yes. As a Canadian citizen, do you authorize the Canada Revenue Agency to give your name, address, date of birth, and citizenship to Elections Canada to update the National Register of Electors, or if you are 14 to 17 years of age, the Register of Future Electors? Your authorization is valid until you file your next tax return. Your information will only be used for purposes permitted under the Canada Elections Act. which include sharing lists of electors produced from the National Register of Electors with provincial and territorial electoral agencies, members of parliament, registered and eligible political parties, and candidates at elections time. Your information in the Register of Future Electors will be included in the National Register of Electors once you turn 18 and your eligibility to vote is confirmed. Information from the Register of Future Electors can be shared only with provincial and territorial electoral agencies that are allowed to collect future elector information. In addition, Elections Canada can use information in the Register of Future Electors to provide youth with educational information about the electoral process. Consent to share contact information, organ and tissue donor registry. Do you authorize the CRA to provide your name and email address to the Government of Ontario for the purpose of being contacted or sent information about organ and tissue donation and to maintain the organ and tissue donor registry? Notes: you are not consenting to organ or tissue donation when you authorize the CRA to share your contact information with the Government of Ontario. Your information will only be used under the Ontario Gift of Life Act. Your authorization is valid only in the tax year that you file this tax return. You can choose from here. Email notification from the CRA. Sign up to get email notification when you have new mail to view in My Account or when important changes are made on your account. Then you will have the terms and conditions. Then you can accept the terms and conditions, and I choose to receive email notification from the CRA. Email address, you can enter your email address over here. I confirm that the email address provided above is correct. You can say yes. Type of preparer of tax returns, you can select the type of preparer over here. And was a fee charged to prepare the return? You can also select it from here and then press on next. And now we are going to fill out the electronic filing e-file. This page is for tax preparers who wish to file a client's tax return using e-file. In order to use e-file, you must have an e-file number and password issued to you by the government. Please note that e-file has been mandated when a tax preparer files more than 5 returns. Will you be using e-file to submit this return to the CRA? In our example, we chose yes if eligible. CRA prior year returns. E-file now accepts the current year and up to 7 prior year returns. If you intend to file more than one of these returns today or within the next 2 days, select yes at the prior year question. In order to accurately assess your return, please file your returns in order, oldest return first. Will you be using e-file to submit a prior year federal return today or within the next 2 days? In our example, no. CRA contact method. Canada Revenue Agency authorized to contact the electronic filer. In our example, we chose not authorized to contact electronic filer for supporting documents. Date when contact authorization will expire. You can enter it if any. Contact code for federal pre-assessment review. Contact the client only in our example. Contact code for federal post-assessment review. In our example, we chose contact the client only. T183 Part F, Declaration and Authorization. Specify how the T183 form will be signed and dated. In our example, we chose T183 will be signed in person, and then you can press Next. And now the CRA Autofill My Return. Use Autofill My Return in this file. You can select here and then press on Next. Download my information, autofill my return terms and conditions of use, retrieve tax information. You can select this one and press on download. You will be directed to the Canada Revenue Agency website for the download to complete. Before we accept my information, we have to double check the information and compare it to the copy of the slips that we have, starting with the issuer name, the box selected, and amounts. In our example, the system selected other information that were updated. We left them as they were selected. For example, Canada Training Credit was selected automatically and updated. The RRSP deduction limit was selected automatically and updated. Other tax-related information, you may have outstanding GST, HST return. In our example, no. Taxation year not filed, it was left blank. Information available from CRA for 2025 income tax and benefit returns. You can check all of these information and then go to accepting the downloaded data into your tax return. You can press on accept and import to tax return. After we accept the information, we will have confirmation that the data has been successfully merged into our file, and we will be directed back to the interview setup. Here we will have a chance to enter the other information, for example, the medical expenses, the support received, or the rent paid. Make sure that the appropriate boxes were checked automatically, and then press on Next to advance. On the left-hand side, you will find the interview setup showing the already downloaded information by Autofill My Return and where we can add other information that we prepared. In our example, we wanted to add the medical expenses. So we will go to medical expenses and press on add. And now we can enter the information that we already prepared for the medical expenses. Here we have to enter the date. In our example, we entered 31st of December 2025. On one line, we entered the annual premium that we already prepared, then pressed here to add another line. Also, we started by the date December 31st, 2025, prescription drugs and dental out of pocket, and we entered the information that we prepared and then press on Next. And now we can enter the support payment that was received. The support payment received by you, you can press on here to enter the support payment received from your ex-spouse. Enter identification information for your former spouse and details of support payments you received, the last name of your ex-spouse, your first name of your ex-spouse, address of your ex-spouse, the social insurance number of your ex-spouse, the total support payments received in 2025, including the non-taxable child support expected for 2025. We prepared this information, the total of child and spousal support, we can enter it over here. Non-taxable child support expected for 2025, we already prepared this information that we can enter for the portion of the child support, which is the non-taxable child support expected. Then we can press on Next. And now you will be directed to the prior year information. Double check that the net income of the prior year was correct, and also the line-by-line prior year comparative information. Double check them all and make sure that they were correct. And now we can go to Ontario Tax Credits application and apply for the Ontario Trillium Benefit application for the Ontario Energy and Property Tax Credit. If you select yes to apply, you will receive a notification about the declaration. Go to the declaration and click here to enter the rent information. Now we go to Ontario Tax Credits, rent paid. We can add from here. We enter the information about the address of the residence, number of months you occupied this residence in 2025. We can enter the number over here, amount of rent paid for 2025. We already prepared this information and other information requested. Then we press on next. If you have other information to enter, for example, investment and interest income and expenses, carrying charges or interest expenses, line 22,100, you can add from here carrying charges and interest expenses, legal fees relating to support payment, line 22,100. You can enter the description and the amount over here, then press on next. And now we have reached the end of the interview. Usually, I will double check the information by going to the left-hand side of the page and my folder, make sure that all of the information were entered correctly. And then there is another way to make sure that the information were correct by having controls of the system itself that will check and recommend any improvement. At the end, we will reach the end of the interview page. Here you can find some helpful information. If you still have any question or need any clarification, you can look or search for the information over here. Also, you will always have this search button to use when you are using the software. Then after that, you can press on next. When we reach the review tab on the left-hand side, you will have the balance overview. This will let us know if we have taxes to pay, a refund to receive, or maybe the balance will be zero. Next, we have messages. If we miss information that was requested, or there were errors to correct, or other important information. Federal summary will give us line by line for our return to review the amounts. Tax saving ideas will be at the end. Now, if you have an amount of taxes to pay, you still can have a chance if you have a non-capital losses from other years balance that you can use to lower your income in order to pay less taxes or maybe no taxes at all. This information you will find on last year's notice of assessment in the explanation of changes and other important information if you have a balance to use, and they will give you the amount that you can use. Also, we prepared the same information from the carryover amounts. Now, if you have this balance that you can use, you have to go back to the interview tab, choose losses of other years and loss carryback. Go to non-capital losses of other years and then start. Non-capital losses available will be shown on the notice of assessment or notice of reassessment of last year. Also, the details of the non-capital losses to carry forward from other years will be shown on the carryover amounts. But before we claim any amount, we have to first calculate it. So we go to the federal summary, the taxable income, which will be over here, minus the total of the non-refundable tax credit, which will be shown over here, will be the correct amount to claim. So, for example, if the total taxable income is 10 and the total non-refundable tax credit is 4, now we have to claim 6 over here. Once we do that, then the taxable income will be reduced, and now we can go and check the review tab to see if the taxes were reduced by this amount. And now we can go back to review the balance overview, messages, federal summary, tax saving ideas. When you are ready, you can choose tax return tab. You have to activate the license, double check the information, accept, and now you will have the return to review. You can download it, print it, save it from over here. Also, you will have the chance to print and sign the form T183, information return for electronic filing of an individual's income tax and benefit return. And now we are ready to e-file the return. We have to check the filing status of the return. To be ready to file, we can press on here to submit the return. Then it will be accepted. We give you information about the confirmation number and date and time. You can print it or save it. You can also check the federal submission, and it is accepted. Now we can go to the acknowledgement report to find the information that we can print and keep for our records. At the end, you will be asked, do you want to save changes? Please make sure to accept and save. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you will find this video helpful, and I will see you next time.